Good afternoon. Welcome to Big Apple Beat, coming to you from CUNY Studios in Midtown Manhattan. We're here to bring you the latest news and culture in the city on this Wednesday, December 18th. I'm Steve Kastenbaum.
And I'm Jinger Zhang. Coming up, our top stories are trams on Roosevelt Island, outdoor dining across the city, and vegan pizza.
First up today, New York is the most visited city in the United States, attracting nearly 9 million travelers each year. Visitors to New York love the iconic Roosevelt Island tram and its breathtaking views. But for some Roosevelt Island residents, the crush of tourists has jammed up what they say is an important piece of public transit. Our reporter Jinger Zhang has more.
Just $2.90 for a ride with $1 billion views. That's how social media describe Roosevelt Island tramway, which is behind me. The tram can take residents directly across the East River to 60th Street 2nd Avenue in Manhattan in just 10 minutes. Videos of the picturesque views from tram are going viral on social media, which residents say is attracting more tourists. But locals say the influx of people has made service less reliable.
What we're asking for is priority boarding for the residents. It doesn't mean that the tourists won't get on the tram, it just means some of them will have to wait a bit longer. But people tend to wait. When we all go to tourist places, we wait for half an hour. People wait for the Empire State for 45 minutes. It's not a big deal.
Some tourists say they have no problem with the proposal.
I think it's important because they live here. They have jobs, kids, and something. We have time.
The Roosevelt Island Operating Corporation operates the tram and says offering priority service for residents would violate state transportation law by discriminating against people based on residency. Crickler and more than 2,000 residents who signed a petition calling for priority boarding disagreeing with that interpretation of the law.
We would argue that this is no longer a public transit system. We can't get on anymore. Some people have given up. It's become a tourist ride. They're not really being very thoughtful about how to interpret it in the current circumstances.
One student who attends Cornell Tech, which is located on Roosevelt Island, says he understands both sides.
Priority boarding, I think, makes sense, but the problem is it is a public transit asset, and so it's hard to delineate between residency, and so I get the concern there. I feel like there should be some type of compromise about if I just want to get to school or someone needs to get home, but I'm not sure what exactly that is.
Crickler says their proposal is straightforward.
Well, there's got to be some sort of registration system where residents can register with them, either get a piece of paper or something on their phone. And then there's simply got to be something at the tram side with staff, a preferential line for residents.
Crickler and residents are seeking support from officials on the city and state level.
Assembly member, our state senator, our council member, those are the people who now we're turning to help us.
On December 19th, Crickler and residents are planning to join the board meeting on Roosevelt Island at Good Shepherd Church Community Center to address the issue. Jinger Zhang, New York City News Service.
Thank you, Jinger. We'll keep viewers updated on that story as it develops.
In other news, you may have noticed that New Yorkers' outdoor dining shades have disappeared recently. Our reporter Steve Kastenbaum hit the pavement to find out why the dining shades are gone and when New Yorkers will be able to enjoy a meal outside again.
So many restaurants, probably half the restaurants, and it also brought life to the city.
Jeremy Veladis was instrumental in bringing outdoor dining to New York during the COVID pandemic. In the middle of the shutdown, he and a few other restaurant owners went on a walk with public officials around the Upper West Side. After explaining that they were in danger of losing their businesses, someone came up with the idea of using parking spots for outdoor seating.
We've been able to use more team members because of it, because it's a whole nother portion to our dining areas, and we've been able to give people the opportunity to make more money and bring it in.
The sheds seemed to appear everywhere overnight. People embraced the opportunity to socialize while the COVID virus was still circulating. But after a while, some New Yorkers complained about the loss of parking spots, dilapidated sheds, dirty streets, and seeing more rats. It prompted the city's transportation department to draw up new, uniformed guidelines for outdoor dining. Mayor Eric Adams touted the changes when they were unveiled.
And our outdoor dining will be here forever, and it will continue to expand and grow, and we're going to continue to learn. If there's some things we got to pick up and do differently, we're going to do them differently.
By the Friday after Thanksgiving, all of the old sheds were taken down. New, less imposing outdoor dining structures can go up in the spring. At the height of the pandemic shutdown, there were tens of thousands of outdoor dining sheds at restaurants across the 5 boroughs. Here on Smith Street in the Carroll Gardens section of Brooklyn, pretty much every restaurant had outdoor seating in place for the last few years. But today, all of those outdoor dining sheds are gone.
I mean, I'm a fan of outdoor dining. I mean, it makes sense for the restaurants, right, from a revenue standpoint, even when it's, colder outside. You got the heating and things like that, right? You can make it work. So, yeah, I mean, to me, it makes sense. I think people enjoyed it. It was a good thing.
I thought, by and large, it was lovely. I thought it was very mixed in terms of the quality of the outdoor sheds. And the ones which were nicely done, I'm disappointed that they've removed.
How do you feel now seeing that they're all gone?
It's honestly quite a shock, to be quite. I thought, like, when I heard that it was like new rules were coming in place, I thought it was like, oh, nothing was really gonna happen. But the fact is, like, one of my favorite restaurants no longer has it, and I'm like, I really just don't want to go because inside is so small, and I just don't want to be sitting in a packed restaurant.
It's not clear if outdoor dining will ever be as commonplace as it was during the pandemic. So far, only a few thousand restaurants out of nearly 50,000 paid for the permit to bring it back in a few months. On top of the cost of building new seating areas, there's the added expense of storing them 4 months out of the year. Jeremy Vladis plans to bring back outdoor dining at his restaurants, but he said it's a gamble.
I'm cautiously optimistic. In my business, you got to be cautiously optimistic at pretty much every turn.
In Carroll Gardens, I'm Steve Kastenbaum.
Thank you, Steve. I hope we can enjoy outdoor dining again soon.
Now we turn to something a little tastier. In a city packed with pizzerias, one spot in Brooklyn is serving up something a little different: vegan pizza. Reporter Rhiannon Bartlett Imadagawa brings us this report from Brooklyn.
My name is Justin Kelly, and I am a pizza chef at Screamer's Pizzeria in Crown Heights. Screamer's Pizzeria is the first all-vegan pizzeria in Brooklyn. We serve New York-style pizza, so thin crust, large slices, and it's very good, yes. So we make all of our dough and red sauce in-house. We make things like pesto, barbecue sauce, honey mustard, and then we use our seitan. We crumble it for our seitan sausage. I started at Screamer's 8 months ago. I had never worked in a pizzeria before, but they gave me a shot. I've been working in vegan food for 12 years now. I went to a natural culinary school and learned a lot of vegan recipes and techniques there. And that's when I started cooking. I had been working as a server for a long time in vegan restaurants. And that's when I fell in love with cooking, and I haven't stopped since. And I just really enjoy making pizza. It's very creative. You can throw whatever you want on a pie, and it's going to be delicious. We have a large local community that come in and eat several times a week at the restaurant. However, we have clientele that come from New Jersey, Long Island, upstate, just to have our pizza. So a lot of vegan restaurants have been closing everywhere. It's just a hard time right now. I think that it's very niche to be like completely vegan, so you have a very specific crowd. I think that our pizza is just in general like a New York staple, so people always want to eat pizza.
Thank you, Rhiannon. As a pizza addict, I really look forward to trying that one out.
Coming up, after the break, we'll hear about striptease, sneakers, and East Village squabble all over some interesting flyers. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Big Apple Beat. Burlesque is a popular performance art that dramatizes striptease, but doesn't involve any actual nudity. Not all burlesque dancers are sex workers, but that is where the art form originated. Artina Darkley, a sex worker who hosts a weekly burlesque show in Brooklyn, spoke to our reporter Lila Feinstein about how those identities overlap for her and what it's like to pursue her passion while navigating stigma.
My name is Artina Darkley, and I am a sex worker of 10 years. And right now I am heading to my weekly burlesque variety show called Dark Opulence at Pink Metal in Brooklyn. If you like what you see, you tip. Yes. I went to college, did barely a semester, and was broke. And I knew a little bit about stripping. I've definitely always been like a rebel. Long story short, I ended up dropping out of college to come back to the city and dance. I felt empowered by my choice. But to my family, to my father especially, I was not doing something right. He kicked me out. So that turned into me just kind of like couch surfing and sleeping in really sketchy apartments with really sketchy people. I lost friends when I came out as a stripper. All my exes have tried to like get me to stop. I'm understanding to a lot, and I feel like I'm really easy to like talk to. But when a partner is incapable of putting you in like that softness, you don't feel like loved for who you are. It was a rough start. Now I'm in like a really good place, and I feel like everybody in my family just kind of like got over it. I'm in a whole new relationship. I met them in nightlife as well. They're a bartender. I feel like I can relax, like I'm in my soft girl era more than anything.
Thanks for that, Lila. If you're a sneakerhead looking for custom kicks, there's a shop in Staten Island that might just be the place for you. Our reporter Jared Barry brings us the story.
For sneaker lovers looking to sport the freshest kicks, buying shoes off the rack isn't enough. Nowadays, true sneakerheads are turning to custom design shops like NRS Custom X in Staten Island. The shop's head designer, Danny Lee, says he's seen a shift in sneaker culture.
Sneakers really have blown up over the past 10 years. Personally, I remember growing up, sneakers were, always a thing. It's a necessity. You need them. It was always one of those things that people looked at first, but it was never as big, I think, as it is now.
This year, the market for sneakers is expected to be worth more than $85 billion, a nearly 30% increase since 2018. Major films like 2023's Air have put sneaker culture at the forefront, while brand collaborations with hip-hop artists like Travis Scott and Kanye West have generated millions, and in some cases, billions of dollars. Lee credits a cultural shift and more openness to wearing sneakers in the workplace.
So it's just funny how, generationally we've switched into the dress shoe being the more expensive to now the sneaker being the more expensive. I think the switch now is going from the look to the comfort, and I think that's why sneakers are getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
At NRS, the team of designers can customize everything from the color and texture to the build of the shoe itself. For customers, it's a form of expression.
Typically, people will send us a sports team, an anime character, a bunch of pictures of something that their kids are into or they're into, and it's kind of us to decipher everything into a sneaker.
Hector Perez, an artist at Never Ride Stock, became interested in sneaker design at an early age.
Well, I used to actually do sneakers a long time ago when I was in high school. I started off doing Vans. And then actually a person for prom needed a pair of sneakers done for prom. He was wearing like a suit with like a pair of Air Force One, so he wanted to be real different. So I actually ended up doing his name in script on the bottom of the shoe. And from there, I started getting orders, small orders with like just names and logos, and then bigger and bigger artwork. And then sneakers kind of took over the whole fashion thing for me.
Sneaker design also offered Perez a way to honor the people closest to him.
So this is actually the first sneaker I made here at Never Ride Stock. This sneaker is actually for my mother and for my friend Matt's mother. So the blue airplane, blue actually inspires creativity. That's the color for creativity. The purple airplane was for his mother, and then the pink airplane was for my mother. Yeah. So mother went through breast cancer. She went through that battle, beat it, thankfully. So that check was for her. And then alongside, I also did a couple other checks. So we have the wing check, kind of like angel wings from Matt's mother. She unfortunately passed away. And then we also have one that's kind of in the clouds, kind of represented me dreaming in the clouds, head in the clouds.
Danny Lee is optimistic about the future of sneakers.
Sneaker culture's been around since I'm a kid. I don't think it's really going to go anywhere. I think it's just getting bigger and bigger as more people get into it, which is phenomenal. And yeah, I'm curious. I'm interested to see where it's going to go.
For the New York City News Service, I'm Jared Berry.
Thanks, Jared. East Village artist Dan Perino has made waves in recent months by plastering Lower Manhattan with a series of provocative flyers. Our reporter Charlie Fernity has more.
This past summer, social media was abuzz with images of an eye-catching flyer pasted all over the East Village seeking the perfect woman. I had the chance to interview Dan Perino, the local man behind the flyers, as well as a copycat artist and potential rival known as The Nut. And how would you describe Dan Perino?
Insane, but in the best way. I don't know. I have a lot of respect for it. It's like it's art, in my opinion. It almost feels like each new poster he puts out is kind of like a sequel. It's like a collection. Yeah, he's strange, but I connect with that. I think that's a good thing to be in today's day and age. So, yeah.
10 years ago, it was the Looking for a Girlfriend flyer. That kind of turned into a series. And I kind of stopped doing it for a while for a couple of reasons. And now I wanted to bring something better than the Looking for a Perfect Woman to evolve into the series so people would understand it. So it's going as planned. I think it's a great way to express yourself by whatever your opinion is on anything. Put it on a flyer and go ahead and post it up and down the East Village. I started with art when I was 4 years old. My mother showed me, and I was basically imitating other artists. As I got older, I started copying other artists, like Andy Warhol and Basquiat. So when I got into kind of like Andy Warhol, I got really interested in that stuff like making fun of the art process. So a month or so ago, I saw a flyer. It was a photo of a guy with a blacked out face, or a woman, I don't know, and a hoodie on, and looking for Dan Perino, looking for me. Because as you know, I'm looking for the perfect woman. He put looking for Dan Perino.
My roommate's friend brought home a flyer looking for the perfect woman, and it was strange and funny. And he left it on the table, so I thought I would just hang it up on my wall. Everybody thought I was insane for it.
We both thought it was incredible, and then Caden just, something about it was drawing him in. I could tell, and he wanted to keep exploring it. And then next thing I knew, I'm back in there making music again, like a couple weeks later, and there's a second one up there. And it just kept adding and adding until now there's a whole like shrine, if you will.
I try to make it kind of in order, so this is kind of the way it went. Except I kind of got off track here. He literally wrote a little poem here about someone who assaulted him and took his flyer down. So I love that one. This is the second one I ever got, looking for ball sack injections. This one I was really tempted to not pick up just because this is just such a, I don't know, interesting image. I also really love starting my gangster rap career. I think that's a classic as well. Very topical baby oil donations, you know, the whole Diddy thing. So he's got his finger on the pulse. One day I suddenly see a flyer where it says, "Why are you taking down my flyers? It's my artwork." And he calls me a nut.
I didn't call him a nut. I called the older people in the East Village that have no business being in the East Village, taking down my flyers. I do this in order to get exercise. It's art, and I'd rather be doing this than anything else in life.
That's all from us today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Steve Kastenbaum.
And I'm Jinger Zhang. This is Big Apple Beat. See you next time.
It was great.
It's great.
Yeah.